Hello everyone, I'm going to do a makeup video for you here. It's my first one that I've done before, so I hope it helps. So I'm going to start by doing my eyelashes before I do my foundation. I'm doing this first because sometimes you can get a little bit of residue from either your mascara or your eyeliner or anything like that. So I'm going to do this first before I do my concealer and foundation. So first of all, I'm going to use the Younique gel, 3D fibre lash gel. So it's this one, girls. And I'm just going to put that on my eyelash. Now, I heard a long time ago that if you twist your brush as you bring it up, it helps lengthen your lashes. Don't know if that's true, but it seems to do the trick. So I've got a nice coat of that on, and now I'm going to put on the 3D fibres. Okay, and as you can see, that's already added quite a lot of volume. And then I'm going to do another coat of the gel just to seal them in. Okay. So now the same thing on the other eye. So the gel first. Everybody has a mascara face. Mine is this. My mum's is this. Okay, and the 3D fibres again. Okay. A bit more gel to seal it in. Okay. There we go. I'm just going to match them up a bit because I feel like this one's perhaps a little bit longer than this. So it's just the same thing again. Gel, and then fibres, and then gel again. Okay, so I'm just going to use a little bit of primer now as well, which I've made up in little sample bottles. Any of my makeup can be bought in samples, so if you want anything in particular but you don't want to buy it in full, there's the option to buy a sample. So you don't need a lot, just a little bit rubbed in your hands. And this is just to give my foundation a smooth finish, a nice base to work off. You want to go right into the neck as well. And I like to go a little bit behind the ears because that's where I do my foundation too, for blending. Okay, there you go. Now obviously you can't see this really, but it feels a lot smoother. So I'm just going to give that a second. And I'm going to go on to my eyebrows next. I'm using the brow liner in medium. You have to excuse me if I'm looking away all the time, my mirror's over there. So, just really following the brow line that I've already created with tweezers. And again, the reason I'm doing this before I'm doing my foundation is more of a guideline. I find that when I've done my foundation first, I don't get a better, well, as good of a finish on my eyebrows. So I'm doing my eyebrows first and then I'll touch them up at the end after I've done the rest of my makeup. And you might be able to see I'm just going slightly over my brow line. And that's just because that's how I like my eyebrows to look. Okay. Now, as you can see, with my face as it is at the moment, which is pale, lots of blemishes and quite a lot of redness, these eyebrows look insane. But not to worry, because the next one is the liquid foundation, which I use organza because I have pinky skin, very pale. Okay, so there's a little dropper. You just want to drop a few of those on your brush. And I'll go for the chin first. As I'd like it to be a bit drier so I can do a second coat with it having most of my blemishes in that area. So Now again, I've heard, I have to admit I've not researched much on it, but it seems to make a lot of sense, that the way to do this is to always brush your brush outwards for an even finish, and to be quite quick as well, so you don't end up with any streaking. And that goes for obviously all foundations. I know a lot of people like to do it with their hands, and obviously that's up to personal preference. I just find that with my skin that tends to just make it quite patchy. So again, just a few dabs. Well, as you can see, this is quite dark even for my skin. However, I prefer to use this shade as I feel it gives me a bit of warmth, and then I use the powder because I like a matte finish, which is a bit lighter. So the two together work really nicely. Okay, so I'm just going to go really gently under the eyes so as not to ruin my mascara. And like I said to you a bit earlier, I go from behind my ears and then down, and that way it blends into my own skin colour better. Okay, so the same again for around the eyebrows. Just going to be a bit more gentle as I go around them. Hair out the way. Okay. I'm just going to have one more dab, like I say, just to go over my chin a second time. Just literally a tiny dab. Just for my peace of mind, so I know I've got full coverage. I don't know what this one is here. Just dry skin. Bad look of it. Okay. Okay. That's foundation. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of concealer on now and cover up the last of those blemishes and under eyes. So just a small foundation brush, sorry, concealer brush even. Now this really stretches a long way, so be careful with how much you use. So I've got a small amount on, and that's probably going to be quite a lot anyway. So I'm just going to dot it under my eyes. And you want to be going right down to the cheekbone for this one. A lot of people just do it where they can see the dark. But if you blend it into your cheekbone, that's what actually takes the shading away. And again, the same thing, really working outwards as with the foundation. Okay, excuse all my silly faces, this is just the way I put on my makeup. Okay. Eyelash there or something. Okay. Just a tad more, just for this part here. Further down to the brow bone, the cheekbone even, not brow bone. Okay. And if you do use your fingers rather than a brush, apparently you're supposed to use your ring finger because that's the lightest finger to use. These are tips that I've picked up randomly over the years. TV shows and magazines and whatnot. Okay. That's quite a bit better than the other one. So same thing for the other eye. And as you can see, it spreads quite well. I might have put a little bit too much on this one, but I suppose I can just dab it on my brush and put it elsewhere, so, as long as I'm fast. Now, some people like to do the concealer last. I'll do a powder finish last, but I'll just be really gentle so I don't obviously wipe away any makeup that I've already done. Still have got quite a lot left over here. Let's see, where else have we got? Yep. Now, when you're covering up blemishes, the trick is to get the actual blemish itself and then work around it. So just dab on your brush, and then you want to be coming around the blemish, like so, and blending the concealer into the rest of your foundation. That helps cover it up better. Okay, well, I'm happy with that coverage, although you can still see some of my blemishes because I haven't gone around every single one because there's that many. I have just fill that in there. Okay, I know that my powder will give me the finish that I'm looking for, so next is the powder. Okay, so it's Mineral Touch Pressed Powder, and this is my favourite product. I love this. Sometimes if I am just on a rush out and I can't bother doing my whole makeup, I'll use this. because it gives me a lovely finish. It's a really good match for my skin tone as well. But it's got really quite good coverage as well for a powder, which I've never had before. Generally my powders are just a finish and this one isn't. So again, being quite light. So I'm going to pat any areas rather than drag where I've done my concealer. That way it won't take away the concealer that I've already done. So again, behind the ear, down into the neckline. Give a nice finish. You can drag obviously where you haven't done any concealer and just pat where you have. So I do like the way makeup makes me feel. I like to feel glam and just generally more comfortable. I've tried everything there is for spots, and I might get something that works for say a week or two, but I think it is just my skin type. So providing that I wash my makeup off every night, which is always difficult when you've been out for a drink, but providing I do that, my skin is generally okay. Okay. So I'm just going to go over my bottom lashes because I've just realised I haven't done them yet. Okay. So because my bottom lashes don't generally take as long as my top lashes, I do just the gel first on each, and the fibres, and my hair, and then again the gel again to seal it all in. Okay, and I think I'd like a little bit more volume on my lashes as well because I'm going out today, so for an afternoon tea, which would be nice. Can't decide whether to have tea or Prosecco. I'm thinking Prosecco. So I'm just going to put a couple more coats of the gel on. And the fibres. And as you can see, that's why I do my foundation first, because I always make mistakes with whatever mascara I use. Okay, that's better. Okay. Right. So I've just realised I've probably been putting my hand in front of the camera a lot. So sorry if that's the case. I will be doing more videos, so this is just my first. Okay, so you can see that just sort of dusts away. Now you can use eyelash curlers at this point, but I tend to find I prefer them just like this. I find curlers fiddly. I don't like using them, so it's all personal preference again. Okay, so I'm just going to get a tissue. Just take any excess away from my lips. Okay. And now I'm going to do my lipstick, which my favourite is the Lip Stain, which is, oh, what's the shade called? Saucy, which is basically bright red. Okay. You can basically do as many coats or as little coats as you like. I like mine really, really red, so I'll do probably 2 or 3 coats. But obviously then you don't need to reapply through the day. Okay. And now to finish, it's still in the daytime, so I'm just going to put a little bit of eyeshadow on from the shadow palette. And I've got shadow palette 3 here. So tell which ones I've used the most. So I'm going to go for, I'm trying to think of my outfit. I think I'll go for a bit of Smitten first. Okay. Just sort of a silvery. Just as a light base for the rest of the colours I'm going to use. I don't want my makeup to be too heavy, obviously, for a daytime afternoon tea. I'm just going to go in the corners of it there. Let's see. And then just slightly above my eyelid. Okay. And then I think I'm just going to go for a tickled, which is pink. Tickled pink. Okay. Now I'm going to get some of the Dainty Splurge, which is currently on raffle at the moment for freebies. And this is nice and smooth finish, so I'm just going to go over and get a little bit of shimmer on there and the corners. You sort of go in a V shape like that, down to the lash and round the eye. Okay, and then I'm just going to blend that in again with the smitten that I used earlier. Followed again by the tickle for the middle. Okay. As you can see, I've got it all under my eyes, so I'm just going to brush that away. Followed by a little bit more of the touch powder, just to keep that a nice finish. Okay. Okay. Okay, so one thing that's also nice to do to define your brows is, if we go back to the brow pencil that I showed you earlier, and just quickly neaten those up again after I've done my foundation. Okay, and then it comes with this really handy comb on the other side, so you can just blend that in nicely for a more natural look. If you use the comb, it's less sort of one block colour, rather individual lines, so more natural. And then followed by the brow gel, which I've also got in medium, and again that's on a little brush, so you can just add some definition there, so you've got a mixture, which again makes them look more natural. Now, a while back I stopped using pencils when I used other brands, because I found that they smeared or they smudged, particularly if you're on a night out and you're dancing all night and you might just be silly and just be doing something with your hands and it'd be all over your face. And my friend did once kiss somebody and her eyebrows imprinted on his head. So not good. But I've gone back to using the pencil because this one doesn't do that. So it's very nice. So to just add a bit of definition again to the eyebrows, keep them nice and natural, you just use either a bit of concealer or one of the eyeshadows, one of the lighter shades, more natural shades, rather than the glitters and the shimmers. I just use my concealer and just follow the brow with some light concealer. And then work that down the brow line. Into your eyeshadow. Okay, and fine again, that gives you some more definition. I think I've said that word a lot now. Definition, definition. Okay, what next? So I'd usually put on some liquid eyeliner now as well, but as it's daytime I think I'll leave that. I think it might be overdoing it a little bit. So that's it, I think we're done. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. And that's my sort of daytime with a little bit of glam makeup. The usual daytime would, like I say, just be powder with a bit of mascara, possibly a lip gloss or a bonbon. I find that that's as much as I really want to be wearing in the daytime. Keep it nice and light. And this is for going for afternoon tea. So hope that was okay for everybody. If anyone's got any questions, just let me know.